Yeah. So you obviously are someone who was at the forefront of reality TV and really obviously became famous because of that. I'm curious of your opinion about what's on TV now, what you're seeing, how it's getting cast. Like your opinion, I think, is so interesting on what we're watching now.
Um, well, since I'm so old, in my day, being a reality TV personality, you were just like jumping off a bridge or like a plank. There was no future checks or IG ads or podcasts. Like
Right.
you were a special type of person that was down to let people film you and just let everyone just troll your existence. Now there's so many ways to monetize it that which I think is great, and the more the better, but everyone's in it for a different, I don't know what I was in it for. I think it was just like, oh, like I just wanted to be famous. I guess, because there was no career to be on camera then initially. It was like, oh, this is fun. So I don't know how many people are doing this because it's fun versus, oh, I'm gonna get followers. I'm gonna, get makeup ads. So, which again, I'm not hating and I love all these opportunities for people, but it does create a different type of person on camera now than in the old days. I don't, there was, I don't know, it just felt more not authentic because everyone was still kind of faking stuff and, wanting to be a certain way on a TV show, but
Mhm.
there wasn't like this end game where now you can, these people plan, they go onto these shows with a purpose. And so I don't know,
Yeah.
it's definitely different.
And also, I feel like the you're right. I mean, the money back then was so different too. I mean, I was on Celebrity Rehab. I made $400,000 for being on for 3 weeks. Crazy money. Obviously, to me, there was no end game. The reason why I did it is because I felt, I mean, I had been asked to do The Apprentice, which was only paying 25,000. So it sounds like it's for the money, but for me, it was really everyone in the world was talking about me because of the scandal I was in. And I felt very misunderstood. And I felt like if I could show who I am through a show and get some sympathy, maybe the public will start to like me better, or at least they can make a decision based on who I am and not about what the media is reporting. So that was for me. But you're right. There was no social media. It was like TMZ was making us into a star beyond, they were reporting what we were doing on the show and, who our relationships were with. And then after that, it was kind of like, well, what's next? And I think that was also really depressing for me because then you're stuck in it. You're like, well, now how am I going to make this money? It's so easy to make this money so quickly. What else? Why would I go back to a regular job? And now it is very interesting that all these people, these influencers, you don't have to have a background in TV or communications or anything or have a deck or a reel made, because people just get famous in their bedroom putting on makeup or whatever.
Which again, then your life is controlled on algorithms. So that is the balance, because you can all of a sudden be so huge on TikTok and then the algorithm changes and the trends are changing. And so it's the same thing about being on a hit show that then goes away, because even the influencer fame goes away so quick. And just from my experience, like in certain platforms that are paying a lot with the like creator fund, and you're like, oh my God, I could do this as a job. I don't have to do anything else. And then everyone comes over it. So then it gets oversaturated and there's no money in that. So then
Yeah.
you're like, I gotta go scramble to a new platform. So it's the same and new, because it's like, there's no guaranteed checks in trying to be famous
Yeah.
regardless. Even that's what's so fun now, being older and looking at like movie stars, because I never understood why movie stars were always doing movies. So I was like, man, if I got these checks, I would kick back and go to Cabo and relax, but they just keep doing movie or movie. And you realize if they get out of that cycle, then now they're not an A-lister. Oh, they haven't been in this movie, or if one bad movie they don't get. So even A-lister movie stars deal with the same thing as like a washed up reality star hustler deals with, is trying to, and that's my favorite thing in the comments section that I always love, and be like, oh my God, you're still trying to stay relevant. Anyone that's trying to make money with a camera is trying to stay relevant at all times. It doesn't matter if you're Spencer Pratt or Tom Cruise. There's a reason why Tom Cruise does his own stunts. So we watch 9 takes of him going up, and I love Tom Cruise. Shout out TC. I'm just saying, TC is trying to stay relevant by jumping out of helicopters with freaking motorcycles or whatever. So it's all the same, but it took me a long time to understand that I'm in the same boat as anyone trying to be famous, no matter what tier and how big your check is. There's only so much interest. And now it's harder than ever because we're in this like multifaceted, polarized, no more monoculture. Everyone's into their own things. So to like there's people you'll meet with 20 million TikTok followers that have no clue who you are. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, Spencer, I loved you from that Jungle show. I'm like, the Jungle show. And I have to think back to like being on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which I don't think is like my big reason why I'm famous. But there's people that only know me from that because they only watched NBC that summer for the Olympics. So it's so weird trying to be famous, which my
So,
full-time
yeah,
life.
and I'm curious about you because you have done so many things. You separately from Heidi and then you guys as a team. So what, like, you're so good at being a hustler. I have such respect. I'm a hustler. I have such respect for people that are consistently reinventing themselves, trying new things and trying to be out there for real reasons because at the end of the day, the money is what makes you support your family, gives you a nicer life. And anyone that doesn't understand that, I think really doesn't get the joke. Like, but to go back to what you're saying too, like a lot of these reality shows, I feel like back in the day when you were on, you know, your main shows, there was a lot of drama. I don't even want to say scandal, but like drama, right? But now it's more like really aggressive, bad behavior that just seems kind of gross to me. I mean, women hitting each other, pulling each other's wigs off, like that to me, that's just like, I mean, it's, I guess, good TV to watch, but it's gross. These aren't people that I would really be friends with, you know? So it was more following your life. And I think that's why people loved watching you guys, the evolution. And then it turned into putting it in magazines where people then made you as big of a celebrity, you know, as some of these big A-list actors kind of, you know?
Yeah, again, I don't watch most of these shows. I always say I appreciate all these shows. I love reality shows, but I'm not, I do, that's my point about people have an end game now to get, which again, I'm not hating. I love people trying to be famous, but they're going in there to pull a wig, not because they actually care, but they want a scene, you know, so it's not authentic. And the one thing I will say about myself that I look like, why have I been able to have success and on this new show when I got cast, and I was like, "Well, you like, what are you paying me for?" And like, is this like, because I'm not doing the like. That's why respectfully, I said no to House of Villains twice because, well, first off, they don't pay enough for me to go fight with villains, which is not something I want to do. I mean, I would if you paid me enough, I would definitely would have. So let's be clear.
Mhm.
But on this new show, I was like, you know, I'm not trying to go fight with people. I was like, let's be like, no, we're casting you for your personality, just to be authentic. And I was like, oh, okay. That I feel like I've always been very honest and truthful. And back then it made me hate it because it came off so like just like hard, but it's the same person in these weird scenarios that these shows will put me in. That's really how, if you put me with no food in the jungle and you rip the freaking label off my wife's dry shampoo, like it may look crazy in that little clip, but like I'll run that back right now and the same thing's gonna happen. Like that wasn't a scene, you know, like don't be ripping my wife's label off her dry shampoo that she's there to promo for QVC. So it looks crazy when it's edited, but it's like I'm doing that right now, almost 20 years later. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So that's the difference in I did things because that's really you put me in like again, they're manufactured things that I would have never been in the jungle with these people ripping off my wife's label. But now I'm here, haven't eaten, and the freaking show nurse is giving me Xanny bars to calm me down. Like I'm snapping.
Right.
So yeah,
So
but going back to the hills and thank God for magazines because that's the other thing. There was no social media, and the first thing that Heidi and I started doing when we started doing it, nobody worked with Us Weekly. People would work with People Magazine. They do the
mm,
like at homes, but the Us Weeklies, the In Touch, the Star, the Life and Style, no one would do sit downs with them, give them stories, sell them exclusive photos. And that's what Heidi and I started doing. And we did it so successfully for a while that next thing you know, Jennifer Aniston's doing sit downs with Us Weekly, which that was not a thing. And they saw how famous Heidi was getting. Like 1 week, Heidi sold 1.1 million. She has the record to this day, record Us Weekly covers. Like she went platinum in every market. Like, so this is the weirdest types, now we talk about, oh, Taylor Swift's so famous, she had 1 million downloads. Heidi had 1 million of her face in every market sold, not just looked at. That's another thing. You don't know how many millions of eyes got in every market, but literally bought the Us Weekly, read the 12 pages of beautiful photos that they shot with her. So it was just such a powerful fame that we were in this system. And the reason why we kind of lost the plot and just spent so much money is we were so famous, and people that know that we were supposed to be, and I say all the time, Kardashian success. Like, we were on that trajectory, but MTV and Viacom, they were like, we're good. We got Jersey Shore. We're done with the Hills. If they decided to get in the Heidi and Spencer business the way they did the Kardashians, because Comcast was airing Kardashians when they were getting, like, this is an exact number, but I want to say like 250,000 viewers. Like, ratings for Kardashians have been, they've been up, but nobody would have kept them alive on other networks, but they're like, we're in business with them. So they had a conglomerate keeping them alive, keeping all these businesses. Again, they're all incredible TV people. I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying that if Viacom was like, we're in the Heidi and Spencer business, after the Hills is over, we're going to follow Heidi on her music career because she just spent $3 million on a pop album. Let's go on a world tour with Heidi and Spencer. We would have been billionaires. Facts. I'll take that to court with anybody. But you get unplugged from the machine, which I learned, how powerful when you are. And I always felt like my ego at the time, you feel so famous and you got all these contacts, but without the machine of a conglomerate, the game's up.
Yeah.